pandemic that's brought all kinds of new stress into our life, it is no surprise that burnout is at an all-time high.
Yeah, so many people feel it just each and every week, right? Especially as you get later in the week and you start to get more tired, longer hours, work
sleep.
hours to increased demands at home, lack of sleep. Yes, so many of us feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, really. So joining us this morning, Dr. Thea Gallgher, clinical psychologist and assistant professor at NYU Langone Health. Dr. Gallgher, good to see you again. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Whew. Burnout, it's real, right? We are feeling it. Can you talk about the burnout and how it differs from stress?
So burnout is where, you've kind of gone past the stress mark. You have really very little left to give, and you're just feeling like you're being pulled at both ends. And you're not even knowing where you're going to come up with the resources to do one more thing, to go one more day. And like you guys mentioned, we're getting hit from all sides, not just, our workspaces, but, our family lives, our personal lives, just even the fact that it's colder, days are shorter, demands are higher. And so it's really a lot that's being impinged on us from all, kind of aspects of things, from COVID to work to relationships and just making decisions in everyday life. They all have different layers to them during this pandemic.
So how does that burnout actually have an effect on our mental health?
Yeah, I think people can start to feel, sleeping longer or sleeping less, or just feeling a little hopeless about the world. Like, when is this going to end? I feel like I'm kind of in this rat race, exhausted. Where am I going to get these resources to go on another day? And one of the things is that we can't really prevent this feeling of burnout that many of us are experiencing, but we need to start thinking about what we can do about it or in spite of it. But it really does start to affect our mental health. We're seeing increased levels of depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts and behaviors. Like, this burnout over time takes a real toll on our physical and mental health.
So I guess, for somebody right now who's watching, who's like, am I burnt out? Maybe I am burnt out, or I have too much stress, blah, blah, blah. What are the signs that someone can look out for to kind of know what they're going through?
Yeah, one of the things I really encourage people to do is to start monitoring. Monitor, like, have I changed? Are things causing me to be more irritable than I usually am? Am I feeling more down or depressed? Am I seeing, like, kind of the negative in everything? And it kind of feels like there is a negative in everything right now, but is that kind of how my lens is filtering information? And that's a really good way to know that something's not right, is when you aren't yourself. And so that can be a good indication that again, things have changed and you're feeling a little bit more burnout. Also, if work, you're having those really strong Sunday scaries, or you're just feeling, again, overwhelmed by things that used to maybe bring you joy, even, time with your children. Maybe now it's feeling like, oh, I can't do this. This is feeling really overwhelming. Looking for some of those signs and symptoms that where you feel overwhelmed, depressed or down, anxious, overwhelmed, and then also just comparing it to your former self.
Yeah, but there can be all different types of burnout, though. There could be burnout that you have at work, or burnout as a parent, having to deal with juggling work and your kids, especially if you're working from home. Isn't that the case? There's so many different places that this burnout could be coming from.
Absolutely. We're really, like I said, being pulled from so many different sides. I think, even with all that happened with the holidays, I know a lot of people felt, overwhelmed and stressed about making certain decisions as Omicron was, increasing. It was just really hard to make a lot of these decisions, and feeling, again, overwhelmed by both COVID, changing in protocols, I think in the Northeast, the weather and the reduced sunshine also we know can have an impact on our mental health. So it's a lot of aspects, and we're in a really tough spot right now. And so I think to remember that and to give yourself credit for what you are able to do right now is really important.
So, doctor, tell me then, and don't tell me to sleep, don't tell me more sleep, right? What are the steps we can take to overcome burnout?
Well, sleep is great, but again, it's kind of elusive sometimes, where it feels such that it is elusive. But there's a lot of healthy sleep habits are really good. But also, again, I think kind of giving yourself credit for all the things that you are doing right now, with all of the stressors impinged upon you. But we also know, especially when we've seen an uptick in numbers during COVID, that people don't take their sick days, they don't take their vacation days. And we know that those can be really helpful, even if you're like, well, I can't go anywhere exotic, or, my life, I just muscle through. It's really important to take that time for yourself. And sometimes even if, if you're a parent, talking with your partner about, hey, I need a break right now. Can you take over? And so many people feel guilt and overwhelmed, and they just keep doing what they're doing. And I tell people, actually giving back to yourself is going to help you be a better parent, employee, sibling, you know, friend, you have to give back to yourself. And it feels cliche, but you really need to put that oxygen mask on before you help someone else.
And you know, I think a lot of parents do that. They're guilty of doing that because at least for a lot of moms that I know, I'm not saying anything bad about dads, but a lot of moms that I know put everybody before them. Like, oh, I'm going to take this on so it's less stress on my husband. And I got to take this on to make sure that the kids are happy. And then you forget about yourself and trying to make sure that your head is, you know, still put together.
So how do you...
Yeah, don't die on Martyr Mountain. That's
exactly. That's what I feel like. It's like Martyr Mountain.
Martyr Mountain. That's a good way to put it. But then how do you not feel guilty, right?
Exactly.
For things like what Hazel's talking about, but also like the fact that people don't call out sick from work, it's because they might feel guilty about calling out sick, right? And then you're at home and you're like, oh, I feel even worse because I called out sick. So how do you get rid of those feelings? Or is this a deeper conversation for a different day?
Well,
should I book a session?
The truth is that you can't get rid of feelings. Feelings are what they are. Thoughts are what they are. It's about understanding and identifying and saying, should I feel guilty for this? Would I tell a friend or someone I love to feel guilty for calling out sick if they're feeling overwhelmed or stressed? No, I would say, hey, take some time for yourself. Do what you need to do to recharge. So really, you know what, just a small little technique is what would I say to somebody else I really care about? And if you would say something different, then you can experience that feeling of guilt, but know that it's not actually correct, and then do what you need to do instead and treat yourself like someone you love.
Got to take our own advice.
That, yeah. All right, Dr. Thea Gallgher, appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for being here.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Of course. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Martyr Mountain.
I'm on Martyr Mountain, and I can't get down.
Right. But it's important. It's really